Millionaire CEO walked away from his pregnant fiancée. 4 years later, he saw her at the airport. The departure gate at JFK International Airport buzzed with the usual chaos of travelers, but Marcus Blackwell stood frozen, his million-dollar deal forgotten, as his eyes locked onto a sight that shattered his carefully constructed world. There she was, Sarah Chen, the woman he'd walked away from 4 years ago, pushing a stroller with 2 identical toddlers, their dark hair catching the terminal lights like his own once had in childhood photos. If you're already hooked by this incredible story of love, loss, and second chances, make sure to hit that like button, share this video, and don't forget to comment below what you think Marcus should do next. And of course, subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more heart-wrenching stories that will leave you believing in the power of true love again. 4 years earlier, Marcus had been a different man, driven, ambitious, but not yet hardened by the weight of billions. His tech company, Black Tech Solutions, was on the verge of its biggest breakthrough, and Sarah was the anchor that kept him grounded. She was a kindergarten teacher, with a laugh that could melt his stress away, and a heart big enough to love him despite his workaholic tendencies. When she told him she was pregnant that rainy October evening, he should have felt joy. Instead, all he felt was terror. "Marcus, we're going to have a baby," she had whispered, her eyes shining with happiness as she held the positive pregnancy test. But instead of sweeping her into his arms, he had stepped backward, his mind immediately calculating how a child would derail his 5-year plan. The IPO was 6 months away. The merger with Tech Global required his undivided attention. A baby meant sleepless nights, divided focus, and potential failure of everything he'd worked for. "Sarah, the timing isn't right," he had said, his voice hollow even to his own ears. "I'm not ready for this. I can't be the father you need me to be right now." The light in her eyes dimmed, replaced by a pain so raw it took his breath away. "What are you saying, Marcus?" "I'm saying maybe we should take a break, until I get the company stable. Until I can give you and the baby what you deserve." The words tasted like ash in his mouth, but his fear was stronger than his love. Sarah had stood there for what felt like hours, her hand instinctively moving to her still flat stomach. "You're choosing your company over our family. That's exactly what you're doing." Her voice was steady, but tears traced silver lines down her cheeks. "And I won't force you to stay where you don't want to be." That night, she had packed her things while he pretended to work on his laptop, both of them moving like ghosts in the apartment they'd called home for 2 years. She left her engagement ring on the kitchen counter, next to a note that simply said, "I hope your dreams make you happy, Marcus. I really do." The next months blurred together in a haze of 16-hour workdays and sleeping pills. Marcus threw himself into black tech, with a ferocity that impressed even his most ambitious colleagues. The IPO was a massive success. The Tech Global merger made him one of the youngest billionaires in Silicon Valley. He bought the penthouse, the yacht, the fleet of cars. He dated models and actresses, his picture gracing the covers of Forbes and Entrepreneur magazine. But success tasted like sawdust when he had no one to share it with. He tried to find Sarah multiple times in those first few months. He called her old number until it was disconnected. He drove by the elementary school where she taught, only to learn she'd moved away. Her social media accounts vanished overnight, and her friends, their former mutual friends, closed ranks around her like protective warriors. It was as if she'd disappeared from the face of the earth, taking his heart with her. Now standing in that airport 4 years later, Marcus felt the ground shift beneath his expensive Italian shoes. The twins, they had to be 3 years old, maybe 4, were perfect mirror images of each other, with Sarah's delicate features and what looked suspiciously like his own stubborn chin. One of them, a little girl with pigtails, dropped a stuffed elephant, and when she bent to pick it up, Marcus saw his own eyes staring back at him from her small face. His daughters. He had daughters. Sarah hadn't seen him yet. She was kneeling beside the stroller, wiping the face of the other twin, a boy who was fidgeting with what appeared to be a toy airplane. She looked older, more mature, but still breathtakingly beautiful. There was a strength in her posture that hadn't been there before, a confidence born from surviving something that should have broken her. Marcus's feet moved without his permission, carrying him across the terminal as if pulled by an invisible string. When Sarah finally looked up and saw him approaching, the color drained from her face. She stood slowly, positioning herself protectively in front of the stroller. "Hello, Sarah." "Marcus." Her voice was carefully neutral, but he could see her hands trembling slightly. "What are you doing here?" "I could ask you the same thing." He couldn't take his eyes off the children. The little girl was staring at him with open curiosity, while the boy had hidden behind Sarah's legs. "We're moving back to New York. I got a job at a private school in Manhattan." Sarah's chin lifted defiantly. "Not that it's any of your business." "Are they—" He couldn't finish the question. Sarah's laugh was bitter. "Are they yours? Is that what you're asking?" When he nodded mutely, she continued, "Yes, Marcus. Meet Emma and Ethan, your children that you never wanted." The words hit him like physical blows. Emma, the little girl, tugged on Sarah's jeans. "Mommy, who is this man?" Sarah's face softened as she looked down at her daughter. "This is an old friend, sweetheart." "An old friend?" Marcus repeated quietly, the phrase cutting deeper than he expected. "What did you expect, Marcus? That I'd introduce you as daddy to children you abandoned before they were even born?" Sarah's composure was cracking, 4 years of pain and anger bleeding through. Marcus knelt down, bringing himself to Emma's eye level. She studied his face with the serious expression of a child trying to solve a puzzle. "You have the same eyes as Ethan," she announced matter-of-factly. "Do I?" Marcus's voice was hoarse. Ethan peeked out from behind Sarah's legs, his thumb in his mouth. He was more cautious than his sister, but Marcus could see intelligence sparking in those familiar eyes. "Sarah, please, can we talk? Just for a few minutes?" She glanced around the busy terminal, then at her watch. "Our flight doesn't leave for 2 hours." She sounded like she was trying to convince herself. "Kids, can you sit right here for a moment while Mommy talks to the man?" They settled onto a nearby bench, Emma immediately beginning to chatter to her stuffed elephant, while Ethan continued to watch Marcus warily. "I looked for you," Marcus said quietly. "After you left, I tried to find you. Not hard enough, apparently." Sarah crossed her arms. "I was in Portland, Marcus, with my sister. If you'd really wanted to find me, you could have." "I was scared," he admitted. "I was a coward who was terrified of failing at something that mattered more than any business deal. And now, are you still scared?" Marcus looked at Emma and Ethan, at these two perfect little humans who carried half his DNA but none of his love. "Terrified," he said honestly, "but not of failing anymore. I'm scared of never getting the chance to try." Sarah's eyes filled with tears she refused to let fall. "Do you have any idea what it was like, Marcus? Being pregnant and alone, going through labor without you, watching them take their first steps, say their first words, and having no one to share those moments with? I know I can't undo what I did. I know saying sorry isn't enough." Marcus stepped closer, his voice urgent. "But I'm not the same man who walked away. I've spent 4 years building an empire. That means nothing without people to share it with. I've learned that success without love is just expensive loneliness. And what exactly are you proposing? That I should just forgive you and we'll be one happy family?" Sarah's voice was sharp with hurt. "I'm proposing that you let me earn the right to be in their lives, in your life. I know I don't deserve it. I know I threw away the most precious gift anyone could have. But if there's even a small chance that you could someday forgive me, that they could someday know their father, then I'll spend every day proving that I'm worth that chance." Emma had wandered over during their conversation, still clutching her elephant. She tugged on Marcus's expensive suit jacket. "Why are you making Mommy cry?" Marcus looked down at this brave little girl, his heart breaking all over again. "Because I made some very bad choices before you were born, and now I'm trying to make them right." "Mommy says everyone makes mistakes," Emma said solemnly. "But you have to say sorry and try to fix them. Your mommy is very smart." Marcus glanced at Sarah, who was watching the interaction with a mixture of pain and wonder. "I'm very sorry for my mistakes, Emma. Do you want to meet my elephant? His name is Peanut." Emma held up the stuffed animal. "I would love to meet Peanut." Marcus accepted the elephant with the gravity the moment deserved. "He's very handsome." Ethan had crept closer during the exchange, his curiosity finally overcoming his shyness. "Do you have toys?" he asked Marcus, his first words barely above a whisper. Marcus smiled, remembering the dozen. Toy airplanes in his penthouse office, gifts from business partners that he'd never had anyone to give to. "I have some toy airplanes. Do you like airplanes?" Ethan nodded enthusiastically, his reserve melting away. Maybe sometime you could see them, Marcus said, looking hopefully at Sarah. Sarah watched her children connecting with their father, the man she'd once loved more than life itself. The anger was still there, burning in her chest like a coal that had never quite cooled. But underneath it was something else, a treacherous flutter of hope. "I'm not saying yes," she said finally. "I'm not saying we can just pick up where we left off. You destroyed us, Marcus. You chose money over family, and that's not something I can forget easily. I understand, but..." Sarah took a shaky breath. "But maybe we can start over, slowly, as friends. For their sake." Marcus felt tears prick his eyes. "Thank you. Sarah, thank you for giving me a chance I don't deserve. Don't thank me yet. You'll have to prove that you've really changed. That you understand what being a parent means. It's not board meetings and profit margins, Marcus. It's scraped knees and bedtime stories and being there when they need you, even when it's inconvenient. I know. I want to learn. I want to be the father they deserve, the partner you deserved." Their flight was called over the intercom. Sarah began gathering the children's things, and Marcus found himself reluctant to let them go. Could I have your number, so we can arrange some time for me to see them?" Sarah hesitated, then pulled out her phone. "If you hurt them, Marcus, if you walk away again, I will make sure you never see them again. Do you understand? I understand. And Sarah, I will never walk away from them, from you, not again." As they headed toward the gate, Emma turned back to wave at Marcus. "Bye-bye, Marcus." "Don't forget about Peanut." Marcus waved back, his heart full for the first time in 4 years. He watched until they disappeared down the jetway, then sat heavily in one of the terminal chairs. He pulled out his phone and cancelled his business trip to Tokyo. Some things, he'd finally learned, were more important than any deal. 6 months later, Marcus stood in Central Park, pushing Emma on a swing while Ethan played on the nearby slide. Sarah sat on a bench reading a book, occasionally looking up to watch their interactions. It hadn't been easy. There were moments of tension, arguments about boundaries and expectations, and nights when Sarah still woke up angry at all the time they'd lost. But there were also moments of magic. The first time Ethan had run to Marcus with a skinned knee, trusting him to make it better. The night Emma had fallen asleep in Marcus's lap during a movie, her small hand clutching his finger. The day Sarah had smiled at him, really smiled for the first time since the airport. They weren't a family yet, not in the traditional sense. Sarah had her own apartment, and Marcus saw the kids on weekends and Wednesday evenings. But they were building something new, something stronger than what they'd had before, because it was based on choice rather than just passion. Marcus had sold his penthouse and bought a house in Sarah's neighborhood with a big backyard and a swing set. He'd restructured his entire company, promoting his COO and learning to delegate so he could coach Ethan's little league team and never miss Emma's dance recitals. The man who had once measured success in dollars and stock prices now measured it in bedtime stories read, scraped knees kissed, and the growing trust in his children's eyes. One evening, as they walked through the park after ice cream, Emma slipped her hand into his. "Marcus, can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetheart. Do you love Mommy?" Marcus glanced at Sarah, who was listening intently while pretending to focus on Ethan's excited chatter about a butterfly he'd seen. "I do love Mommy, very much. Then why don't you live with us?" It was the question he'd been dreading and hoping for in equal measure. Because sometimes when grown-ups make big mistakes, they have to work extra hard to prove they've changed. "I'm still working on proving that to Mommy." Emma considered this with the seriousness of a 4-year-old philosopher. "I think you've proved it. You never miss our important stuff, and you make Mommy smile now." That night, after he'd dropped them off at their apartment, Sarah lingered by his car instead of immediately going inside. "She's right, you know," Sarah said quietly. "You have proved it. You've shown up every single time you've promised to. You've put them first, even when it meant missing important business meetings. They are the most important thing. You all are." Sarah looked up at the windows of their apartment, where she could see the twins getting ready for bed. "I'm not saying we should rush into anything, but maybe we could try having dinner together, as a family. See how it feels." Marcus felt his heart soar, but he kept his voice steady. "I'd like that. Very much. Friday night. 7 o'clock. I'll cook. As she started to walk away, Marcus called her name. When she turned back, he said, Sarah, thank you for giving me the greatest gift anyone could ask for. The chance to be their father. The chance to earn back your trust. I won't waste it. She smiled. The same radiant smile that had made him fall in love with her 7 years ago. I know you won't. The Marcus I fell in love with was always capable of this. He was just scared to let himself try. Watching her disappear into the building, Marcus realized that he'd finally learned the most important lesson of his life. Success wasn't about building an empire or accumulating wealth. It was about building a life filled with people who mattered. About being present for the moments that couldn't be delegated or rescheduled. He'd walked away from his pregnant fiancée 4 years ago, choosing fear over love, ambition over family. But sometimes the most important journeys are the ones that bring you back to where you belong. Sometimes it takes losing everything to understand what really matters. And sometimes, if you're very lucky and very determined, you get a second chance to build something even more beautiful from the ashes of your mistakes. That's the end of our incredible story of redemption and second chances. What did you think? Have you ever had to rebuild trust after making a huge mistake? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single one and love hearing your stories. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear about the power of love and forgiveness. And don't forget to subscribe to Trillionaire in Love for more stories that will restore your faith in love, family, and the incredible strength of the human heart. Remember, it's never too late to choose love over fear, and it's never too late to come home.